Welcome to this new episode of Lucky Last. Today I'm joined by Adrian Falk, founder of a successful PR and advertising agency and the author of Believe, a book about transforming your life from the inside out. We will talk about self-belief, confidence, and the mindset it takes to survive and thrive as a founder. But I want as well to go beyond the inner work, and we will talk about the world of digital advertising, this is your bread and butter, personal branding, and how to stand out in a noisy market. Adrian, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. So excited to be on your podcast.
Thank you. Just to let you know, I met Adrian 2 weeks ago.
That's right.
I was actually doing a short podcast for the Bondi Chamber of Commerce. As you know, I work with them. And I was just like in love with what Adrian does and his energy. And then I found out that he had a book. And I'm like, oh my God, I need the book. And I started reading it. I love it.
Thank you.
It's really easy to read, but it's a very good reminder, or if we don't know, lesson to improve yourself. So I'm not done yet, but I love it.
Awesome.
Okay, so now let's start. When you were 20 years old, you decided to move to New York. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Sure. When it was like time to choose your career at the end of year 12, I didn't know what I wanted to do. But I did love the show Melrose Place. I don't know if you remember Melrose Place. And I loved the whole craziness and the energy of the advertising world. And so I thought, you know what, I want to work in advertising. The problem was back in the 90s, there was no advertising degree. So did a Bachelor of Economics degree at Sydney Uni, which is all very maths based. And fortunately, I'm pretty good at maths. And then also majored in marketing. But marketing at Sydney Uni isn't fun and fluffy. It was like econometrics, it's regression analysis. So it's looking at consumer behavior in a mathematical way. So at the end of the degree, I could see like I was going to walk out of here with a whole lot of knowledge, which I kind of was grateful to have, but it really didn't give me first principles of advertising. So then I just started towards the end of the degree reaching out to ad agencies. This was in the 90s via email and saying, hey, I'm moving to New York, would you sponsor me? And essentially landed a job on Fifth Avenue. They didn't know me. This was like an alien reaching out to them because, you know, we weren't very global then. The internet was just kind of taking off. And so I landed a job on Fifth Avenue and I was doing amazing things over there. And I always thought I wanted to learn from the best. And that's why I headed to New York. And
how was your experience there?
It was amazing.
Did you live the Melrose Place adventure?
Yeah, it was quite funny. There was D&D advertising on Melrose Place, and the agency I worked for was called KD&E. So it was very much a 90s using the acronym of people's last names. Very 90s thing to do in the advertising world. I got to work with amazing people like Cindy Crawford with Amiga Watches. I got to work with the founders of Rockstar Games, which are now multi-billion-dollar gamings. I used to get paid to go to E3. It's a video gaming conference in Los Angeles every year. And these amazing experiences, and I was there for 3 years, but I kind of could quickly always like to sort of see, okay, what's next? You know what I mean? And it's like, where's this going to take me? And I kind of thought, I had this like calling that I want to do this for myself. Like while I love living in New York and it was so exciting, I kind of thought I want to do this for myself. And that's why I came back to Australia to do this essentially from nothing.
And you founded your PR and advertising agency, yes.
That's right, yeah. Essentially that's why I called myself Believe. When I came back to Australia, even though I had a few years of experience under me, essentially I had to believe myself. Like I felt like my whole life, like moving to New York, everyone goes, that's not going to be able to happen. You know, the easiest thing that you can find in life is someone to tell you a whole list of reasons why you can't achieve your goals. And they're like sitting on the couch all day, you know, watching TV. So it's kind of like if you believe in yourself, that's all you need. And that's why I kind of started off that way.
This is as well what you say in the book. You said stop focusing on the negatives and start to see the positives, start to realize how grateful, how lucky you are, and start being a bit more grateful, and you will see the positives will take over pretty much. in the book, you talk about transformation from the inside out. What does it look like on a practical level? And what are your daily non-negotiables?
Good question. So you always have to do baby steps. I think in this era that we're in, mental well-being is really good. And I think look after myself mentally through exercise. I find exercise, I never used to be a sporty person at school. I hated playing sport. But I do love, even if it's just like going out for a walk or something like that. So doing something that's going to get you out of the house and just off your phone for a little bit is a great way, and is a non-negotiable way to start. And if you can't run, walk. If you can't walk too much, then just sometimes sit in silence. Or I'm not big in meditating, but just, I guess, you know, we always have the answers to the questions, you know, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah, you said it as well in the book. You say wake up 20 minutes earlier and just be present with yourself only.
Exactly.
Yes, and it helps a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. We will come back to the book.
Sure.
But I want to talk about this media and advertising world, because with internet, with the social media, it's completely shifting. PR is not just in the magazine anymore, you know.
Yeah.
Now it's open to everyone. And I will say, the better you will be in PR, taking this seriously, the better it will be for your business. How can founders and business owners show up in this new digital landscape in a way that actually cuts through?
Sure. I think the best way that they can cut through is be authentic and be themselves, because there's only one you. And that would be to show up every day, to just don't try and be like everyone else, because everyone else is taken. Be yourself. The brilliant thing about the era that we're in is, I remember when I first started my advertising business, is everyone wanted to be like in Vogue magazine. Not to discredit Vogue, say here in Australia, but if you look at the figures, Vogue magazine, print-wise, has an audience of about 45,000 print copies maximum. So I feel like everybody now has the ability to create their own vertical, their own channel, and you see this with influencers and even social media. So you can have your own platform and get your message out there and show the world who you are with ease just through social media channels, essentially.
So you say being authentic and being yourself. It's not easy. When you say that, it seems so easy, of course I'm myself, but when you spend some time on social media, you realize that everyone is only showing their best part, I would say. And I read something that say success is behind being cringe, something like that. I don't have, saying you need to pass this shame, or being ashamed to put yourself out there to finally be successful. What do you think about it?
I think that, you just have to be raw and real.
Yeah.
So if you're having a bad day, own it and just say, you know what, today is not the best day. And people will identify with that, because we're all human at the end of the day. And people often don't see stuff that you do. They go, oh, you're an overnight success. I'm not talking for myself personally, but I've literally been doing my own business for 23 years. That's a long time. But then, and it changes. Everything changes by the minute. What I'm doing now is not what I did 23 years ago. But often people might see someone in the media, in the news, and then they're all of a sudden this overnight success, but they don't know all the failures and, I guess, the things that they had to go to get to that stage.
Yes, absolutely. It takes time. I think there is no secret.
100%.
It really takes time, and you need to be hard worker, persistent, and I guess authentic as well.
Yeah.
So there is a big difference between visibility and credibility, but they often get confused. How do you help people not just to get seen, but to get trusted?
I would say it comes back to being authentic, is share your story. Us humans love to, I always say people buy from people, not from brands. And the biggest brands that I've worked with, it's the founder sharing their story and then people identifying that story. Perfect example, Sue Ismail from NADS. She built a massive empire here in Australia with at-home waxing products for men and women. There's a million, it's a cluttered space. There's a million other products like that. But what she did was share her story, how she came from a Christian town in Syria and then came to Australia and couldn't speak a word of English. And then that went to being bullied on the first day of high school. And then when her kids started going to school, they were getting bullied because she's got 3 amazing daughters with hair on their arms. And then she thought, I don't want the same for my children, so how am I going to remove their hair? And then she developed a wax from that grandmother's recipe that it was so natural she could eat it. And then word got out, and then it was, so people thought, wow. And then I think they just identified with the story. When you look at better or worse, Elon Musk and Tesla, Steve Jobs and Apple, yeah, people identify with the founder and the person, yeah.
Yes. And I think everyone has an interesting story. We often think, oh, I don't have, something really to share. But I do believe that we all have our story to share where people can identify. It's difficult. I mean, for myself, I know this is what I need to do. I was talking to someone who is in the business for a long time, and she said, every week you need to come with me for a day.
Yeah.
They need to see what you are doing. They need
absolutely.
to feel like they can identify you when you drop the kids, when you do this, they just need to feel who you are, because you have a podcast, that's great, but you are, as you said, you are the brand of this podcast. People will listen for you, not for what you talk about.
100%, yeah.
Yes. I need to do it.
You're doing well. And I think it's, as you said, being consistent.
Yes.
Because so many times people will be like, oh, I did an Instagram post, social media doesn't work. I did a LinkedIn post, but it's like going to the gym once, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You need to be persistent and keep pushing.
Choose one thing and just get really good at it. And I think that's what you're doing. It's your podcast. You're great. You're awesome at it. And you're very consistent with it as well.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. So talking about personal branding, what is the most important thing that people maybe misunderstand about it?
I think in some ways, it's sometimes a bit of a slow burn. So it's layer upon layer, building foundations. Will one podcast, is that going to get me my next multi-million-dollar sale? No, but it's like all these things that are going to build upon the next step as such. And that's how it works. People, I always say, Google when it comes to your favorite restaurant or your hotel, or if you're even getting a gardener, they're going to Google the company, right? When people Google your name, if nothing comes up, then they're going to go to the person, obviously, that does come up. So they also need a whole lot of different touch points before they make a decision to buy your product or service as well. So they want to see you on YouTube or hear you on someone's podcast or read a news story about you. It's not that just one news story or that one social media post that's going to convert them, but collectively bring it all together. Yeah.
Do you think that community as well is important in this instance? Like being close to the community or building a community or helping out around here, even if there is no intention beyond that, but just having your name in the community, does it help?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always say start at grassroots level. That's why I love, you mentioned before, the Bondi Chamber of Commerce. It's like my backyard. So that's where everyone can start with their local business networking group or community or Chamber of Commerce, and then start helping people from there. So then you're going to be organically the thought leader and an expert in your industry there.
Yes, okay. When people can reach out to a professional like you? I had this question yesterday online from one of my listeners who wanted to know what stage of the business can they reach out?
Sure. Anyone can do publicity for themselves. That's not a problem. I guess it depends on how quickly they want results. So if they've been trying for a little bit, and it is a slow burn, and it does take some time and consistency, especially if you want to get on a leading news site or even on a great podcast, that's going to take time. If you feel like that the time you're investing in doing that is worth then investing in someone else doing it for you, I think that would be a good time to then reach out to a professional as such.
Okay.
So then they can save you time. You can focus on maybe more new business calls or doing sales. And then, it's the investment will pay off that way.
Okay. Let's talk about energy now. What drains you, fuel you, and how do you protect your energy? Because again, this is something that you talk a lot about in the book.
Yeah, so I feel like negativity will bring you down. I think that I mentioned before, like the easiest thing you can find is someone to tell you a whole list of reasons why you can't do something. And then that creeps into your mindset about all these negative self-thoughts. So any negativity when you're trying something new and you're sharing and you're all excited, and I would say sometimes it's best keep that to yourself so then you're not impacted that way. They say that you are the sum of the 5 people that you hang out with. I always say if you want to fly like an eagle, don't hang around with the turkeys, essentially. Yeah.
I love this. That's a good one.
Thanks. Yeah.
So negativity is definitely draining you. What gives you energy?
I love helping people. That's what I've been servicing businesses, entrepreneurs for my whole career. And when, you speak to someone and they come on board and they go, my business is struggling. I need more sales. I need more leads. How can I do that quickly? And I implement, whether it's my Facebook and Instagram ads or do a PR campaign for them and they see results quickly to get them back on track. It just makes you feel like that excites me when I see them succeeding, because that's awesome. We're business owners ourselves and we know what it's like. It's a roller coaster having your own business. So
it is really challenging. How did you manage at the beginning when you founded Believe, the PR agency? How did you manage everything? Because at some point when you start your entrepreneurship or your business, you are mostly the main character. You are doing so many things at once.
Yes.
Any advice on how to manage
I think
this?
you have to get very good at stuff very quickly. You have to be thick-skinned. You cannot be fearful of rejection. So literally when I started my company, it's so much easier to start a business nowadays, but when I started, it was the yellow pages, and I literally started with the letter A, and I started cold calling people.
Wow.
Yeah, 100%. And I would call up, and I knew quickly how to sell on the phone. But then to further my sales skills, and also to bring in money, because I wasn't really getting money in, I would work in a call center at night selling charity raffle tickets. So I did that for about the first 18 months, and that showed me that, number one, if you call X amount of people, someone's going to say yes. So I apply that to anything in life. If you reach out to so many people, there will be that one person that says yes. So you have to sort of work out what that number is and then find out how many people you need to reach out to get that yes every single day, and then keep moving forward that way.
That's very pertinent. That's really true. I'm working on sponsorship at the moment, and this is what I needed to hear.
Yeah. And there will be that person, but you just have to find them. And the more no's you get, the closer you get to that yes in some ways.
You must have built so much resilience.
100%. But I just knew that I didn't want to work for anyone else ever again. I knew I had this passion to help others and build my own business, and nothing was going to stop me. Yeah. That's
really good. I think that's when you start in the trenches, like you can only go up from there, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
But cold calling the yellow pages, that's dedication.
Yeah, no, without a doubt.
Okay, who is inspiring you today, and how do they impact you?
I think, to be honest, and I know this is going to sound cheesy, but my wife works with me in the business. She's an inspiration. Any person that, being a mum, and we were talking about kids before we started this, is a full-time job in itself. I feel like dads have it easy. We go to work, and often and it is more a shared responsibility. I'm definitely as a hands-on parent as well, but mum's always taken on their shoulders. And to be a working mum and to go out to the workforce and then come back and then worry about all these logistics within the family. It's a full-time job. So I think, there's people like that, my wife. Plus, I mean, there's so many young entrepreneurs that I've worked with where they've literally started from nothing. And Matthew Lepre, for example, one of them, he was living in the western suburbs. They used to get meal drops and he was raised by a single mum, and then he managed to sort of get himself out of that. Or Harry Sanders was homeless at 17 for a period of time and then built his SEO agency. So those types of success stories, but everyone's got a great success story. You don't have to be homeless to be,
No, of course, yeah. Can we take a minute to talk about your son? Your son
Sure.
is 11 years old.
Yes, yeah.
And next week he is going to an event called Bondi Shark Tank, where he's going to present his business in front of 4 professional judges and a room full of people. This is inspiring.
He is inspiring. So Eden, I don't know where he gets it from. I mean, like, obviously, yes, my wife and I were in the form of communication, social media and that. But Eden, people that don't know, he's born with hearing loss. And when we found out as a parent, your world changes because you automatically think, what's my kid going to, what life are they going to have? Are they going to be bullied? We were even told, he should be learning sign language and things like that. So we were a bit of a wreck for a long period of time. Then, thanks to an amazing non-for-profit charity called the Shepherd Centre, it helps kids who are born with hearing loss, early intervention. I actually do pro bono work. I'm on their board as well. They helped us out so much, and I think they gave us the confidence to give that to Eden. And then he, even today, goes to holiday camps where he can mix with other kids with hearing loss, and that goes to, like, they're teenagers, which is really cool. He's come up with this idea called Hibbits, where it's literally using same concept like gibbets from Crocs, but embellishing, actually showing off his hearing aids, so making them a bit unique and a personable about yourself and embracing what you actually have. Yeah.
What a little legend.
Yeah,
That's beautiful. Yeah. So, I will be there next week and I
awesome.
can't wait to hear from him and listen. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. Okay. Now, for someone who is listening right now, who is on the edge of a big leap, but holding back, what would you tell them?
Do it. You never want to die with regrets. I remember one book that I read at 17. It was called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. Sometimes it's scarier not to do the thing that you're not going to do. Does that make sense? So if you're like me, moving to New York as a 20-year-old was a big thing for me. But then in some ways I thought, I can always just come home. If it doesn't work out, I'm a plane ride home. That's how I sort of justified it to me. I didn't know anybody. I didn't even know the company. Like, there was no Zoom or FaceTime. Didn't know what they looked like. And websites were very limited then. So I had limited information. It all worked out. It was amazing. I still speak to people that I worked with today, which is awesome. And they're always cheering me on. So I appreciate that. And I would say you never want to die wondering. You've got one life, make it worth it, essentially. Make each day count. Yeah.
Very good. One more thing. If there is one non-negotiable for a founder, an entrepreneur, or a business owner, what would it be?
Non-negotiable would be, you need, and this is what I've realized in business, you need to make sure that your business, whatever you're doing, you need to have some form of new business activity happening in your business every day. So when I first started out, that was cold calling to get in leads. If you have a leads problem, if you're not getting leads, no matter what you're doing, whatever business you're in every day, then your business is going to go backwards fast. You need to have a constant flow of leads. And then fortunately nowadays we've got Meta, social media ads, publicity. There's a whole range of services that you can do affordably to increase your lead flow. But if you're not getting new business inquiries every day, then you need to look at that problem because you'll go backwards. I think what happens is, and I was guilty of it, initially you will make some calls, get some work, get really busy, and then those projects stop. And you'll be like, oh my gosh, I've got no work on. I'm going to then start making some more calls. But you need to have an even sort of flow of income as a business owner, because we're not like employees. We don't get paid every week, you know. Then you need to keep that outreach happening every day. And that's where it's like doing your podcast, doing a social media post, and looking to see if, you know, what works. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Adrian. A few takeaway: be authentic, really important if you want to stand out. Share your story, don't hesitate to share it, and share it to the world. They need to know, they need to identify to who you are. Move away any forms of negativity and try to focus on the positivity. Don't think about it, just go and do it. And finally, if you can, go and buy this book. I'm reading it, it's amazing. You will get a lot of little nuggets to improve your mindset. And if you need a PR guru, don't hesitate to go to Adrian at Believe Agency. He's the king in this industry.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much.